So whenever you have actors or actresses try to come out and shill for their, their sexuality or their identity or whatever the case may be in their promotion tour, like when they're trying to be, when they're a star for a certain TV show, they're a star for a certain movie, and the only thing they talk about is diversity, equity, and inclusion that they particularly bring, it makes me realize that they were probably hired only for that reason. They weren't hired on their acting merit. They were hired on what they were allowed to bring to the table regarding promotional stuff and the fact that their gender identity or whatever is going to be a big hit for a lot of people who want to write articles about it, shill for it, talk on Twitter about it. That's what it's for. And now we have the latest example of it. So you guys already know that in IronHeart, Zoe Terakes is going to be involved in this this TV show, this movie, whatever this is. And apparently she's trans, right? So he, she, whatever is trans. And they want to make this kind of like what they did with Rings of Power and Disa, where it was basically all about diversity, equity, inclusion. Every single one of her interviews was about that. Now you have Zoe Terakes, however you say their name. Now you have them doing the same exact thing with IronHeart. So we're going to get into the article, guys. This one comes from some good old bounding into comics, and it says, IronHeart star Zoe Terakes is deeply grateful upcoming Marvel series will give little trans kids and trans teens something to look at and know they exist. Okay, that whole little trans kids things, like that just I'm not trying to get mad, but that just drives me insane. Like I really truly believe there is no such fucking thing as little trans kids and trans teens, maybe late teens, early college, you know what I'm saying, when you start to figure yourself out. But if you are a little trans kid, you were literally groomed by someone, okay? That's how I feel. You were literally encouraged by someone to be that way, and you grew up in that environment. That's the only way something like that happens, because when I was a kid, I was worried about Pokemon cards. I wasn't worried about my freaking gender identity. But of course, they're going to try to convince you that little kids are like that. But anyway, that's besides the point, not to go on a tirade. It says Zoe Terakes, the first transgender and non-binary actor to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe, says that they are deeply grateful to have been cast in the upcoming IronHeart series because it will give little trans kids and trans teens something to look at and know they exist. Terakes, perhaps best known for portraying Reb Kian on the Australian soap opera Wentworth, publicly shared their gratitude for the opportunity to join the Disney Plus series during a recent Sundance Film Festival press event held in promotion of the actor's new A24 horror film, Talk to Me. Now, that's what I keep saying, like, they never want to talk about the characters that they play. That's my issue with a lot of these interviews. They never talk about the characters they want to play. They did the same thing with Disa. We didn't know a damn thing about Disa. All we know was she was the first black dwarf, blah, 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 female. That's all we knew, and that's all we heard. They never want to talk about the damn character they're playing. This is what makes me believe that they are hired simply to check off that box. And if you want to start convincing me otherwise, then why do you only talk about this stuff when you do your press tours and you don't talk about your character? It's very little about the character, and 98% of it has to do with your diversity. It's crazy. It says, asked by Collider's Perry Nemiroff, what does joining the MCU mean for you personally, and what influence do you want to have on that franchise? Terakes proclaimed excitement at the representation their casting will provide to transgender youth. See what I'm saying? This is why they were hired. This is why they exist within the MCU. This is the only reason. You can't convince me otherwise. It's really lazy, and it's sad, because if you want diverse characters, quote-unquote diverse characters, to be taken seriously, then why don't you treat them like every other character? Why do you always have to stipulate their existence within the MCU by their gender identity? I just don't get that. There's no reason to do that. If they're able to stand on their own, you should let them stand on their own. Their character should be able to stand on their own. How they play that character should be able to stand on their own. But you never give them the opportunity. You never do, because you make them come out the gate swinging with this whole diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense, and then that's all they talk about until the movie or the TV show comes out. They never shut up about it because that's what you want them to talk about. These studios tell them to do this. It says, I think as a trans people. What? Don't you mean I think as a trans person? I don't know English. Growing up, I didn't get to see myself anywhere, so I didn't really know that I existed, said the actor, who identifies as non-binary transgender man. But how is that possible? How can you identify as a non-binary transgender man? How can you be a man, but also non-binary? So can you also be a trans woman? Like, these people, they make up titles to the point where it doesn't even make sense. It never makes sense. None of this stuff ever makes sense. It's impossible. You say you're non-binary, but then you're transforming into a binary. I give up. I give up trying to understand. and especially not in a superhero show or movie, added to Rockets. And so I think I just feel deeply grateful and moved that little trans kids and trans teens have something to look at and to know that they exist and to know that they can have superpowers, and that's where we belong. All right, well, you can't have superpowers, first off. You should know that. If you think you can, then something's wrong with you. The whole seeing yourself thing, I'm pretty sure a lot of these trans kids or kids in general have seen themselves in comic books for decades, regardless of skin color or gender identity. I really don't think they care. So this whole thing about, oh, you get to see yourself, it's a fallacy. It's literally all a lie. This is a new talking point that they do to try to justify their actions, and it's bull. It says, we don't just belong in trauma stories on the fringes dying and things, you know, concluded the Australian native. We belong there with the big guys. So yeah, it meant a lot to me. As announced by Deadline in August 10th exclusive, Terakes is set to appear in the MCU television series in an as of yet disclosed key role. Watch it be the most minuscule role. And watch her die. You know, the funny thing is, I say it on stream all the time. My issue with these diversity characters is that you want me to get invested in them, but then you end up killing them off completely. You end up killing them off in the same episode they're introduced, like Bill and Frank with The Last of Us, or you end up killing them off eventually to the point where they were just completely useless. Like their whole existence didn't really mean anything. Like the Deaf Girl in Witcher Blood Origin, she meant nothing. She was only there to be diversity hire for 4 episodes until she was sacrificed by one of the main characters, and that was her whole reason for existing. It's crazy. In addition to Terakes, the series will also star Dominique Thorne, reprising her role as the eponymous Ironheart from Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and RuPaul's Drag Race star Jaren Key Mero, better known by the stage name Shia Cooley. Yeah, this entire thing's gonna be garbage. Like, I'm telling you, this is dead on arrival right away. I can almost say that for certain. Ironheart's LGBT casting follows now former Disney CEO Bob Chapek's March 2022 declaration that after being embroiled in controversy regarding their initial desire to remain apolitical regarding Florida's new bill, the company would be using their content to promote their ideal version of the world. There's a reason LGBTQ plus content is at the top of this list, explained Chapek in a company-wide email. For nearly a century, our company's stories have opened minds, inspired dreams, shown the world both as it is and how we wish it could be, and now more than ever represent the incredible diversity of our society. I don't believe a single word these people say, man. People like Bob Chapek, they don't know a single diverse person in their real life at all. At all. I'm telling you, like, you think they hang out with diverse people? You really do? Like, you think these people, these rich CEOs, hang out with diverse people? The only diverse people they hang out with are rich people, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. That's all they care about. It's money. That's it. It's all about money. We are telling important stories, raising voices, and I believe changing hearts and minds, he continued. Encanto, Black Panther, Pose, Reservation Dogs, Coco, Soul, Modern Family, Shang-Chi, Summer of Soul, Love, and Victor. These are all of our diverse stories and our corporate statements, and they are more powerful than any tweet or lobbying effort. Yeah, I don't think they are, because almost all of those movies failed. Almost all those movies failed. That's the hilarious thing about it. Shang-Chi did okay. Black Panther obviously did okay. I don't know about the others because I never watched it, but still, I think Encanto did okay. Not really sure, though. The rest of them sound like they failed. I firmly believe that our ability to tell such stories and have them received with open eyes, ears, and hearts would be diminished if our company were to become a political football in any debate, and yet you chose to do so. You chose to do so, Bob Chapek. Literally chose to do so, and you know what? They're going to continue to do it at Disney because they made their choice. They made their bed. They're going to lie in it. They've already decided. There's nothing stopping them, and that's what they're going to do. So at the end of the day, I can't wait to see Ironheart fail because I just know it's going to. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.